Chapter 1260. Duo stole glances at the child as she muttered incoherently. Isn't that so? This child's eyes look so much like yours. His mouth and eyebrows look like Mr. Pei's too. Lin Yin slapped her forehead. Please. This child is so adorable. How does he look like me? He doesn't look like Mr. Pei at all. Lin Yin glanced at Xiaoli and realized that he bore some resemblance to Pei Nanxiu. Wasn't it normal for good-looking people to look alike? Lin Yin shook her head hastily. Duo, you're thinking too much. This is the child of a friend of one of my bosses. His parents aren't around, so he asked me to take care of him for a few days. Duo looked skeptical. Do you think I'm stupid? You're busy earning money every day. You have to spend your free time playing games to earn some extra money. Why would you be so free as to take care of someone else's child? Tell me the truth. What's your relationship with this child? Lin Yin replied. My boss gave me 100,000 yuan a month. Duo stammered. Duo was rendered speechless by Lin Yan's words. Lin Yin asked, Is there anything else you want to ask? Duo fell silent for some time before she replied. You're an actress, a racer, a singer, a gamer, and now you're a nanny. Isn't that too much of a leap for you? Wouldn't an actress who didn't want to be a racer be a good nanny? Lin Yin glanced at her and replied matter-of-factly. Why wouldn't I earn money? So you're really a nanny? Duo muttered under her breath, wondering if she had overreacted. But he really looks like you. You look like a mother and son when you stand next to him. I should look like a brother and sister when I stand next to sister. Pei Li's childish voice rang out from behind her. Lin Yin was elated as she stroked Pei Li's head. Ha ha ha. Little Li be good. She glanced at Duo. Look at this child. He's so sweet. Duo could tell that Lin Yin didn't look guilty, so she didn't say anything else. If he had been an illegitimate child, Lin Yin wouldn't have dared to bring him out so openly. But this child is really cute. His eyes are too beautiful. How good must his parents' genes be to give birth to such a beautiful child? I don't think you and Mr. Pei would be able to give birth. Duo stared at Pei Li's face and couldn't help praising him. Lin Yin felt inexplicably proud when she heard Duo praise Thunderbolt. Of course. After saying that, Duo sighed. Then be careful with the kid. Don't get caught. I know. Go back quickly. I'm going to bring Xiaoli to eat. After Qian Duo left, Pei Yuqing got out of a black car. Lin Yin replied. Sorry, you must have waited a long time. Pei Yuqing replied. It's fine. Lin Yin couldn't help but complain to Pei Yuqing. Duo has been acting weird lately. She actually suspected that Xiaoli is my illegitimate child with Mr. Pei. Pei Yuqing was speechless. Lin Yin was speechless. She even said that Xiaoli's eyes look like mine, and his eyebrows and mouth look like Mr. Pei's. How do they look alike? Lin Yin sighed heavily. If I had such an adorable son, I would be so happy. Duo thought. I don't think you and Mr. Pei could give birth to such a beautiful and adorable child. Lin Yin thought. I might not be as good as Mr. Pei, but I can with his brother. End of this chapter. Chapter 1261. If she could have such an adorable son, she would be overjoyed. Pei Li's face lit up with joy when he heard Lin Yin. However, the light in his eyes instantly dimmed. What mommy likes are cute kids. If his mother knew what he really looked like, she wouldn't like him anymore. Hence, he couldn't let his mother find out. Pei Yuqing adjusted his glasses and asked, Don't you want a daughter? Lin Yin asked, Huh? Who said that? Pei Yuqing quipped, I asked you how many children you wanted. A son or a daughter? You said one, a daughter. Pei Li glanced at Lin Yin nervously. Lin Yin suddenly recalled what she had said. She had indeed said that she only wanted one child. She wanted a daughter. Lin Yin coughed softly. If she's as cute as Xiaoli, a son is fine too. Two is fine too. Pei Yuqing raised his eyebrows and asked, Do you still want a daughter? Lin Yin scratched her head. A daughter is fine too. Pei Yuqing nodded. Yeah, you can have whatever you want. Lin Yin was speechless. Wait, something was wrong. Why would Pei Yuqing ask her such a serious question? He made it sound as though they were planning for a future child. He even made it sound as though they really had two sons. Sister, do you want to have a little sister in the future? Pei Li glanced at Lin Yin. Lin Yin chuckled. I was just chatting. I haven't thought that far ahead. Pei glanced at Pei Yuqing and told Lin Yan solemnly, Sister, if you want to have a little sister, I think the baby's genes are very important. Of course, your genes are very good, but Daddy's genes are also very important. Pei emphasized the words Daddy. Lin Yan found the little fellow's solemn expression amusing. Yeah, you're right. That's why I found a child with good genes. Lin Yan began to imagine what their child would look like in the future. Pei was speechless. Pei had wanted to remind Lin Yan, but he hadn't expected her to retort. Pei Yuqing couldn't help but smile when he heard her. Meanwhile, M-Nation Pei's headquarters. In the small garden, a little boy who looked like he was carved out of jade was sitting listlessly on a chair with his chin resting on his hand. From time to time, he would look in the direction of the courtyard gate. After a while, a young man in a butler uniform hurried over. What took you so long? The little fellow looked at the young man with a face full of displeasure. You're half an hour late this time. I'm sorry, young master. The young man apologized while trembling with fear. Hurry up and give it to me. The little guy couldn't wait to look at the thing in his hand. The young man held an expensive ultra-high-definition camera in his arms and looked a little flustered. Young master, why don't you wait for me to sort out the photos before showing them to you? The little fellow's face immediately darkened. Ingot, why are you so talkative today? While speaking, the little fellow had already stood in front of the young man and snatched the camera from his arms. Then, the little guy sat back on the recliner with satisfaction and began to flip through the photos inside. Chapter 1262. All the photos in the camera were of the same woman. The quality of the photos was so high that even a strand of hair could be seen clearly. Mommy, you're so pretty. It was rare for the little fellow to reveal his childish side. He cupped his little face, happy for a moment, then disappointed for a moment. Mommy, you've forgotten about Daddy. Forget about Pei. Why did you have to forget about me too? I'm so cute. The young man was speechless. But cute? It was more like scary. As Pei Qian was looking at the photos, the young man had been watching him anxiously, as though he was afraid that Pei Qian would discover something. Ingot, why are you so nervous? Did you do something wrong? Pei Qian noticed the young man's panic and asked coldly. The young man shook his head hurriedly. No, young master, I wouldn't dare. I'm just afraid that master you will find out. Pei Qian snorted coldly. So what if he finds out? I promise not to disturb Mommy. Can't I just look at Mommy's photos? No, I didn't mean that. The young man replied weakly. I'll forgive you on account of your good photos. They're much better than the paparazzi. Pei Qian looked through them carefully one by one before returning the camera to her. To prevent his father from finding out, he deleted the photos after looking at them. The young man heaved a sigh of relief when Pei Qian didn't seem to notice anything. He took the camera back. However, just as Pei Qian was about to hand the camera back, he snatched it back. Hold on. The young man's legs trembled in fear. Young master, what's wrong? What's this? Pei Qian zoomed in on one of the photos and stared intently at a shadow in the villa. The young butler looked closely and saw a small shadow and a silhouette. *T. The butler suppressed his panic. Young master, it's just a shadow, right? Pei Qian gritted his teeth. Shadow. It's Pei Li's shadow. The butler was speechless. How could he recognize him? Pei Qian was so angry that he slammed the glass table beside him. It's just a shadow and a silhouette. I would recognize him even if he turned into ashes. Tell me the truth. What's going on? Why is that bastard beside Mommy? The butler was on the verge of tears. I don't know. I really don't know. Pei Qian clenched his fists tightly. So, you took photos of Pei Li from the start, right? You purposely deleted all the photos of Pei Li, afraid that I would find out. It's a pity that he missed one and was discovered by me. I was wondering why you were so nervous today. So you're hiding something from me. Pei Qian was so angry that he spun around like a flaming wheel. The butler didn't expect Pei Qian to be so smart that he could even discover Pei Li from a shadow. He wanted to cry, but no tears came out. In a short while the whole garden was ruined. Why? What right did Pei Li have to look for his mother? But I can't. Chapter 1263. Lin Yan was about to take Pei Li to dinner with Pei Yuqing when her phone rang. It was Boss Xiao. Hold on. Let me take this. It was the god of fortune calling. Lin Yan picked up the call. Hello, boss. Are you looking for me? Xiao Yao's voice came through the phone. How is Xiaoli? So he was concerned about his nephew. How rare. Lin Yan replied hastily. Xiaoli, don't worry, boss. He's fine. I was worried that he would be scared last night, so I slept with him. I just finished work, and am about to take him out for dinner. Xiao Yao replied, let's go together. Lin Yan was startled. Huh? What did he mean? Lin Yan didn't understand what Xiao Yao meant. Let's have dinner together. I'm worried that Xiaoli won't be able to adapt, so I want to visit him, replied Xiao Yao. There was nothing wrong with Xiao Yao's explanation. It was reasonable. So Lin Yan didn't think that there was anything wrong with it. Lin Yan replied, if you want to see Xiaoli, why don't you come over for dinner? Of course I can, but... However, she was with Pei Yuqing. Lin Yan instinctively glanced at Pei Yuqing and pointed at her phone. She mouthed, my boss wants to come over for dinner. What should I do? Pei Li raised his head and looked at Lin Yan expectantly. Sister, is that Uncle Xiao? I miss Uncle Xiao. Pei Li glanced at Pei Yuqing deliberately, as though he wanted to gauge his reaction. Lin Yan couldn't reject Pei Li. Yeah, your uncle misses you very much. He wants to have dinner with you. Pei Yuqing's eyes remained impassive as he replied casually. Let's go together then. I'm fine with it. Pei Li noticed that Pei Yuqing didn't look as furious as he had expected. He didn't seem to be angry at all. Instead, he acted as though nothing had happened. Astonishment flickered across Pei Li's eyes. If his mental strength hadn't been strong enough to see through any disguise and confirm that the person in front of him was his father, he would have suspected that he was an imposter. After all, he had personally witnessed how autocratic and temperamental his father had been. He hadn't expected Pei Yuqing to have changed so much in 2 years. When he had decided to appear before his mother, he had been prepared for the worst. He hadn't expected Pei Yuqing's reaction to be so unexpected. If he didn't act up last night because his mother was there, then when his mother went to work and they were alone, he definitely had the chance to act up. However, he still didn't do anything. He even kept his promise and brought him to pick up his mother from work. Even now, Pei Yuqing knew that he had deliberately chosen to cooperate with Xiao Yao and join forces with Xiao Yao to snatch his mother. However, he still hadn't reacted. This was simply too unusual. What was this man planning? Because of this strong uncertainty, Pei Li felt uneasy for the first time. After Pei Yuqing agreed, Lin Yan asked Xiao Yao, Boss, of course you can come over for dinner. However, my boyfriend is here too. Is that convenient for you? Sure, Xiao Yao replied. Lin Yan replied, all right then. I will send you the location. You can come here directly. End of chapter. Chapter 1264. Soon Lin Yan, Pei Yuqing, and Pei Li arrived at the restaurant. Xiao Yao's office was very close to the restaurant, so it would take them at most 10 minutes to arrive. Hence, they only ordered some drinks and snacks. They were going to order together when Xiao Yao arrived. Lin Yan handed the menu to Pei Li. Xiaoli, take a look at the menu and see if there's anything you like. Sister, order something. I'm fine with anything, Xiaoli replied. The more Lin Yan looked at the obedient little fellow, the more she liked him. This child was just like his name. He was so polite. No wonder he was called Xiaoli. However, she didn't know his surname. Xiao Yao had said that he didn't know who Xiaoli's father was, so Lin Yan naturally wouldn't raise this question. The three of them waited for about half an hour, but Xiao Yao still hadn't arrived. Lin Yan guessed that there was a traffic jam. He should be driving, so she didn't call him. The three of them waited for another 10 minutes, but Xiao Yao still hadn't arrived. Lin Yan had no choice but to send him a voice message to ask when he would arrive. Xiao Yao replied that he would be here soon. Thus, Lin Yan continued to wait. In the end, she waited for half an hour. What's going on? Even if there's a traffic jam, he should be here, right? Lin Yan sent him a second message to ask when he would arrive. Xiao Yao replied, soon. Did you get delayed by something on the way? Lin Yan pinched her eyebrows. It didn't matter if the two of them waited. but she didn't want Xiaoli to starve. Order Xiaoli's food first. Let the child eat first. Don't let him starve, Lin Yin said. Pei Yuqing nodded. Okay. Pei Li replied considerately, Sister, I'm fine. I can wait. Didn't Uncle Xiao say that he would be here soon? Lin Yin stroked the little fellow's head. It's fine if we wait for a while, but you're still a child. You can't starve. It's fine. You can eat first. Your Uncle Xiao won't mind. Pei Li lowered his eyes and fell silent. He hadn't expected Xiao Yao to be so late. Xiao Ji might be able to be late for dinner, but given Xiao Yao's character, he shouldn't have made such a low-level mistake. Could it be that something important had been delayed? In the end, Lin Yin insisted that Pei Li order the dishes first before waiting for Xiao Yao. Lin Yin waited for a while, but he didn't appear. She had no choice but to send Xiao Yao a message. Boss, where are you? Did something happen? Xiao Yao quickly replied, It's okay. I'm almost there. Lin Yin replied, Okay then. Another half an hour passed, and their dishes were almost all served. Xiao Yao finally arrived. Lin Yin had brought Pei Li to sit with her, while Pei Yuqing sat opposite her. Hence, Xiao Yao could only sit next to Pei Yuqing. One of them was wearing a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, looking aloof and aloof. The other was dressed in a suit, and looked expressionless. They exchanged a glance as a form of greeting, before they sat down opposite Lin Yin. The moment Xiao Yao appeared, Lin Yin felt as though there were invisible sparks in the air. Lin Yin glanced at her phone and realized that Xiao Yao was 2 hours late. Worried that something had happened to him, she asked, Boss, what took you so long? Did you get into an accident on the way? Xiao Yao replied, No. Lin Yin asked, Huh? Was there a delay along the way? Pei Li glanced at Xiao Yao as well. What could be more important than seeing his mother? Xiao Yao replied, No. Lin Yin asked, Then what happened? Xiao Yao glanced at Lin Yin. Nothing much. I got lost. Chapter 1265. Xiao Yao glanced at Lin Yin. Nothing. I'm lost. Lin Yin was speechless. Pei Li was speechless. Pei Yuqing was speechless. Lin Yin was exasperated and speechless. He was lost. He was lost again. The main point was that it was so close. It was only a 10-minute journey. How could he get lost? The first time she had seen him, he had been lost. Later, she remembered that she had gone to save Xingchen. She hadn't been confident, so she had asked Xiao Yao for help. In the end, she had chased the man in black away. She had waited for an entire night, but Xiao Yao hadn't come. Why hadn't he come? He had replied that he was lost and had been looking for him all night. Lin Yin sighed heavily. How could you get lost when it's so close? Besides, didn't I send you your location? Xiao Yao replied expressionlessly. It was an accident that I got lost. It has nothing to do with my location. Lin Yin replied, Haha, this conversation. Don't you find it familiar? That's what you told me the last time. It was exactly the same. That was incredible. Pei Li's face cracked as well. He had never imagined that Xiao Yao, who seemed perfect in all aspects, would have such a terrible sense of direction. Pei Li had no choice. He had already made his choice. He could only speak up to break the awkward atmosphere. Sister, Uncle Xiao, you must be hungry. Hurry up and order something. Lin Yin, who felt her stomach growling, hurriedly picked up the menu. Hurry up and order. I'm so hungry. There were only 2 menus on the table. So Lin Yin took one, and handed the other to Xiao Yao and Pei Yuqing. Do you two want one? There seems to be something wrong somewhere. No need. Help me, Pei Yuqing said. Lin Yin asked, Huh? Don't you want to order something? Pei Yuqing replied, You know my taste. You can order. Pei Yuqing's taste? Did she know? That's right. Pei Yuqing couldn't tell what it tasted like, so he could choose any flavor. Although that was what Lin Yin was thinking, Xiao Yao and Pei Li didn't know that in their ears. It sounded as though Lin Yin and Pei Yuqing were very close. They were so close that they knew all his likes and dislikes. The cocktails here are pretty good. You can try them, Xiao Yao said. Lin Yin perked up immediately. Sure. Pei Yuqing was around today, so he could drive. He glanced at Lin Yin. You can't drink today. Ah, why? You're here too. You can help me drive. Lin Yin knew that he didn't drink. Pei Yuqing took a sip of the lemon water and replied calmly, "It's your period today. You shouldn't drink." Xiao Yao. Pei Li. Lin Yan was startled. How? How did you know? Pei Yuqing asked. Is it strange that I know? Lin Yan pondered for a moment. Her period had coincidentally come when he had possessed her. Had he remembered her period then? Oh, all right then. Lin Yan replied regretfully. Although Pei Yuqing was usually gentle, he was very stubborn when it came to matters of principle. When Pei Li saw that the situation wasn't right, his face couldn't help but sink. This development was completely different from what he had imagined. It hadn't been easy for him to bring Xiao Yao and his mother together. He wasn't here to watch his father flaunt their affection. Lin Yan. Mr. Pei, my boss wants to eat with us. Pei Yuqing. Sure, let him eat. There's enough dog food. Pei Li was speechless, Xiao Yao was speechless. Today's dog food is over. Babies, happy winter solstice. End of this chapter. Chapter 1266. Other than Lin Yan, the other three people had their own thoughts. The atmosphere turned awkward. After a long silence, Pei Li said, Sister, Uncle Xiao cooks very well. Let him cook for you next time. Lin Yan was surprised. Boss, you know how to cook? Not bad, replied Xiao Yao. Forget it. I wouldn't dare ask boss to cook for me. Lin Yan grinned. Pei Li hurriedly said, Sister, boys should take care of girls. It's only right that they cook for girls. Pei Li glanced at Pei Yuqing and asked, Uncle Pei, do you know how to cook? Lin Yan replied, This was a dangerous question. Pei Yuqing replied, I can. Lin Yan was speechless. Pei Yuqing's eyes met his son's as he said, I can cook for you next time. Pei Li glanced at him. Sure. I hope Uncle Pei won't just say that. Lin Yan choked on her lemon water and glanced at Pei Li. Baby, do you know how big a hole you've dug for yourself? For the time being, the meal was finished in peace. I'll pay the bill. When it was time to pay the bill, Xiao Yao took the initiative to pay. Lin Yan's eyes lit up. Thank you, boss. Boss, you're so generous. Pei Li's expression softened a little. Fortunately, Xiao Yao was generous enough. This was also a trait that attracted his mother. The three of them walked out of the restaurant and waited for someone to park their car. At that moment, the big screen in the shopping mall was broadcasting a piece of entertainment news. This year's rich list has been released. JM Corporation's CEO Pei Yuqing has topped the list. He is once again the richest man in the country. Pei Yuqing is definitely the richest man in the country. 2 years ago, JM Corporation expanded its business territory like crazy. Its business has spread all over. Lin Yan was speechless. It felt magical to suddenly see gossip about her boyfriend on TV. Although Pei Corporation was one of the top conglomerates in the country, Pei Yuqing had always kept a low profile. He rarely appeared in public and had never accepted interviews from the media. Unless it was an important business event, the national media would report on it. No media had dared to report on Pei Yuqing's private life. The only photo of Pei Yuqing had been accidentally leaked by Pei Nanxiu. The media hadn't dared to report on Pei Yuqing's wealth without JM Corporation's approval. Hence, even though Lin Yan knew that Pei Yuqing was rich, this was the first time she had heard that he was the richest man in the country. He had even won multiple awards. When Lin Yan looked at him, he seemed to be sparkling like the god of fortune. Pei Li's expression, which had just eased up a little, immediately darkened again after seeing this gossip. He even suspected that Pei Yuqing had done it on purpose. Lin Yan raised her head to read the news on the screen. Pei Yuqing, do you know what my dream is? Pei Yuqing asked. What? My dream is to work hard to earn money. I'm going to be the richest woman in the world. I just didn't expect that you would snatch it away from me. Lin Yan sighed heavily. Pei Yuqing glanced at the girl and raised his eyebrows. His eyes were filled with gentleness. You already are. She was going to be the richest woman in the world. Lin Yan was speechless. Pei Li was speechless. Xiao Yao was speechless. After rushing for 4 days, he had finally signed all the autographs. He would send them to the printer today, and they would ship them out as soon as possible. He was in a hurry. Merry Christmas, babies. End of this chapter. Chapter 1267. At Summit Entertainment, in Chu Jiao's office, Xiao Kechuan seemed to have rushed over from an event. She was dressed in a gorgeous suit, as she sat on the couch opposite Chu Jiao. Her expression was cold and distant. Her manager, who was dressed in a champagne-colored suit, looked sullen as well. She glanced at Chu Jiao and snapped, "Boss, what do you mean by this? Why did you let Lin Yin appear at the finale today? What have you done to Kechuan?" Chu Jiao looked as though he was trying to smooth things over. "Director Zheng, it wasn't the company's decision to let Lin Yin appear at the finale. It was the request of the organizer. Shouldn't the company protect Kechuan's interests? How could a newcomer like Lin Yin be placed above Kechuan? If word gets out, Kechuan will lose all her face." Zheng Xijie retorted angrily. "Director Zheng, I believe you know that this is a request from the sugar daddy. Even the company can't change this. If Kechuan is really unhappy with the order and is worried about lowering her status, she can choose not to participate." Chu Jiao quipped. Zheng Xijie was fuming. How could Kechuan miss such an important event? How could she not participate? However, she couldn't refute Chu Jiao's words. Given the organizer's background, Summit Entertainment couldn't influence the decision. Besides, I heard that Kechuan will be the finale today. Chu Jiao tried to smooth things over. Xiao Kechuan's face darkened when Chu Jiao mentioned it. She had to wait for more than half an hour just to be the finale. Given her status and background, she had never suffered such humiliation before. Zheng Xijie, who was standing beside her, snapped, "President Chu, are you pretending to be ignorant? Today, if it wasn't for me helping Kexian fight for what was right and forcing her not to go on stage, would she have been able to go on stage at the end? When has Kechuan ever been the finale? When has she ever suffered such humiliation?" Zheng Xijie's frustration erupted. "All right, even if this event doesn't count, what about the company's resources? In the past, Kechuan could choose whatever resources she wanted. Now they have given so many resources to Lin Yin. The cover of last week's magazine, the United Nations conference, and the female lead in the movie. Kexian was obviously the one who wanted it. Why did she give it to Lin Yin?" Chu Jiao furrowed his brows. Those resources were indeed because Lin Yan's image was more suitable. The director also chose her after a formal audition. Zheng Xijie folded her arms across her chest. "President Chu, are you saying that Kechuan is inferior to Lin Yan?" Chu Jiao's mouth twitched. Xiao Kechuan wasn't as capable as Lin Yan. Ever since Lin Yan had joined Summit Entertainment, she had become a workaholic. Even if Chu Jiao disregarded his relationship with Pei Yuqing, as a boss, he liked this kind of employee. Lin Yan had relied on her own abilities to get what Zheng Xijie had told her. He hadn't given her any backdoor help. However, he had no choice. Even though he knew that Xiao Kechuan was being unreasonable, he couldn't fall out with her. After all, Xiao Kechuan and Pei Yutong had a special relationship. He was stuck between Lin Yan and Xiao Kechuan, so he could only try his best to smooth things over without offending either side. End of chapter. Chapter 1268. Xiao Kechuan, who had been eavesdropping for a long time, was burning with rage. She could tell that Chu Jiao was trying to smooth things over. He was obviously trying to protect Lin Yan. In the past, Chu Jiao would never have dared to treat her this way. As long as she wanted something, it would be hers. Xiao Kechuan had the final say in Summit Entertainment, and no one would dare to compete with her. She had never imagined that Lin Yan would be able to win over Chu Jiao. Xiao Kechuan sneered coldly and glanced at Chu Jiao. "President Chu, why are you so protective of Lin Yan? What's your relationship with her?" Chu Jiao coughed violently when he heard her. He was almost scared to death. What kind of joke was this? What kind of relationship could he have with Lin Yan? Chu Jiao waved his hands dismissively as he explained. "Kechuan, you can't spout nonsense. What kind of relationship could I have with Lin Yan? Of course, we are a superior and a subordinate, a boss and an employee." That's right. He and Lin Yan were merely a superior and a subordinate, a boss and an employee. Really, Xiao Kechuan clearly didn't believe him. "President Chu, even heroes have a weakness for the charms of a beautiful woman. I know that, but I hope that you won't be blinded by her beauty. You have to think twice before you act." Xiao Keshuan's threat was obvious. She was telling him not to offend Pei Yutong because of a woman. At this moment, Chu Jiao really wanted to die. Why couldn't he explain himself? If President Pei were to hear this, he would lose his life. Chu Jiao hadn't wanted to offend either side, but Xiao Keshuan was too aggressive. He had no choice but to speak harshly. In any case, he wasn't afraid of Xiao Keshuan. Xiao Keshuan's backer was third young master, while Lin Yan's backer was President Pei. Hence, Chu Jiao straightened his face and said solemnly, "Keshuan, let me repeat myself. This isn't what you think. Please be careful with your words and actions. Don't make baseless conjectures. I've made myself very clear. All this while Lin Yan has obtained all the resources with her own ability. Neither I nor anyone else in the company has given her any special treatment. The entertainment industry has always been a place where those who are popular have access to resources. Lin Yan's public image and acting skills are obvious to all. The investors have acknowledged her ability." Zheng Xijie smirked. It seems like Lin Yan's ability to seduce men is well-deserved. Who would have thought that even President Chu would succumb to her? Xiao Kexian didn't expect Chu Jiao to be so tough. She was so angry that she laughed. Since President Chu says so, I have nothing else to say. President Chu, please protect him. However, I have something to tell you. If I want to blacklist someone, no one has been able to make a comeback. Chu Jiao. Xiao Keshuan wanted to ban Lin Yan. After Xiao Kexian finished speaking, she stood up with a swoosh and said unhurriedly, "Oh right, I forgot to inform President Chu that my date for the company's annual staff conference next week is third young master. He will also be attending." After saying that, Xiao Keshuan left with a cold aura around her. Zheng Xijie's face lit up when she heard Xiao Keshuan's words. Immediately, a proud expression appeared on her face. Third young master had come personally to support Xiao Keshuan. Who would dare to say anything? Chu Jiao stroked his chin, feeling a headache coming on. If third young master were to step in personally, things would get tricky. He had heard that President Pei doted on his younger brother. If third young master were to cause trouble, he wondered if President Pei would stand on Lin Yan's side. It was a love story about the two of them becoming acquainted with each other through racing. It was quite a beautiful story. However, as someone who knew Pei Yutong better, she felt that he wasn't worthy of such a beautiful love story. However, seeing that he had invested in the Aurora racing team, he would not mock him. She would talk to him in a few days and ask him to increase his investment. It wasn't that she wanted to earn more money, but his team had no future. It would be a waste of money. It would be better to invest it in Aurora racing. Double the investment, 10 times the return. End of this chapter. Chapter 1270. The next day, Zhao Hongling said that she had been working hard recently, so she had given her 2 days off. She wanted to make use of this time to train Yun Xian. There were only a few days left before the competition. If Yun Xian could accept her special training, he would definitely be able to break through given his talent. Shaoli, big sister has work to do today. Are you willing to go with big sister to work? Ling Yan asked gently. I might be a little busy, and the place I work is a little dangerous. You can't stay by my side. I'll get someone to take care of you. Is that okay? Pei Li lowered his head and fell silent. He was willing. Of course, he was willing to be with his mother. However, he knew very well that he would be a burden to his mother. If his mother found him troublesome, would she dislike him? He would never allow that to happen. In the end, Pei Li raised his head and shook it. Sister, it's not convenient for you to bring me along. I can stay at home by myself. Don't worry about me. I won't run around. Ling Yin knew that this child was sensible, but she hadn't expected him to be so considerate and considerate. Besides, she had sensed that this child didn't want to stay at home alone. What kind of environment could make such a young child develop such a well-behaved and sensible character? It was a good thing to be obedient and sensible, but this child seemed to be a little too sensible. Although he had only been home for 2 days, he had been careful and cautious. As though he was afraid that she would be unhappy, Lin Yin spoke gently, afraid that she would scare him. It's not inconvenient for me. I'm just worried that you don't like to interact with strangers. Let me take care of him. Pei Yuqing walked out of the study with Cheng Yemo trailing behind him. Don't you have a meeting today? Don't you have to go to the office? Lin Yin asked. It's fine. You can take him to the office. Someone will take care of him, replied Pei Yuqing. Pei Li frowned subtly when he heard Pei Yuqing. Cheng Yemo, who was hugging a stack of documents behind Pei Yuqing, stiffened and looked as though he was going to melt. No way. He had to come here every morning to see the little devil. Now President Pei wanted to take him to the office? He couldn't take care of him. Lin Yin hesitated. There were too many people in the convoy. Besides, she would have to train Yun Xian, so she wouldn't have time to take care of Shaoli. Everyone in the convoy would be busy. Besides, they were all men, so how would they know how to take care of a child? He Lifeng wasn't reliable either. Pei Yuqing's suggestion had indeed solved a huge problem for her. However, it would be too much trouble for him to take the child to the office and take care of it for her. Lin Yin scratched her head sheepishly. But I'm the one who took on this responsibility. How can I let you take care of it for me? That would be too much trouble for you. Pei Yuqing glanced at the girl behind his glasses and replied casually. Taking care of a child should be done by two people. There's no need to help or trouble. When Lin Yin heard him, she instantly felt that he was too righteous. Indeed, taking care of a child should be the responsibility of the husband and wife, not just the mother. End of chapter. In just a few seconds, Cheng Yemo had already thought of how to write his will. Lin Yin, who didn't notice Cheng Mo's unusual behavior, pulled him aside and said, Assistant Cheng, I'll have to trouble you to take care of Shaoli. This child's parents aren't around, so he's introverted and timid. Please be patient and take good care of him. Don't scare him. Cheng Yemo. Introverted, afraid of strangers, very timid, don't scare him? Who would be the one who would be scared? Cheng Yemo nodded with tears streaming down his face. Don't worry, lady boss. I will be careful. I won't scare him. End of this chapter. Chapter 1272. Lin Yin heaved a sigh of relief when she heard Cheng Yemo. She strode over to Pei Li and retrieved a child's phone from her bag. Oh yeah, Shaoli, take this. I bought you a phone. You can use it to contact me. Lin Yin had bought this phone when she was free. She had chosen a Peppa Pig cartoon that kids would like and hung a cute crab-shaped pendant on it. Lin Yin quipped, I picked this phone myself. I didn't know if you would like it. Oh yeah, this crab is a pair with the one on my phone. Lin Yin waved her phone, which had an identical crab-shaped pendant on it. She liked crabs because they had claws and were willful. When she bought this pendant, it was buy one pair and get one pair free. She bought two, so she had 4 identical pendants. She hung one for herself, so there were 3 left. So, she hung one for Shaoli as well to coax the little boy. Pei Li stretched out his tiny hand to take the phone. Is this for me? Yeah, it's for you. If you need anything, call me. Of course, you can also call me anytime. No matter what, I will answer Shaoli's call, replied Lin Yin. Pei Li's eyes reddened slightly. He had lost count of how many days and nights he had only been able to see his mother in his dreams. He had almost forgotten what his mother looked like. There was only endless darkness, brutality, desolation, and murder. He had thought that his mother was dead. He had thought that he would never see her again. However, his mother was standing before him now. She had given him a phone and told him that she would answer his call no matter what. All of this was so unreal. Pei Li looked dazed, as though he was afraid that this was just a dream. What's wrong, Shaoli? Lin Yin asked worriedly when she noticed that the kid was in a trance. Pei Li shook his head hastily and held the phone carefully. He caressed the crab pendant lovingly. Thank you, sister. I will cherish this gift. I won't break it. He knew that his mother's favorite animal was crabs. Mom gave her favorite thing to him. Does that mean that Mom also likes me a little bit? Lin Yin stroked the little fellow's head gently. It's okay if you break it. I can buy another one for you. Pei Li looked at his mother's gentle palm and silently counted. The 4th time. Ever since he met his mother, this was the 4th time she had touched his head. Sister, I won't break it. The little guy looked extremely serious. How could he bear to break it? This was something his mother had given him. He wouldn't let anyone touch him. Lin Yin walked them to the door. After Cheng Mo and Xiaoli got into the car, Lin Yin spoke to Pei Yuqing. Lin Yin replied, "I'll finish as soon as possible. Call me if you need anything." Pei Yuqing grunted in response as his eyes darted to her hand. Lin Yin glanced at him suspiciously. "What's wrong?" Pei Yuqing replied, "I want it too." "Ah, what do you want?" Lin Yin was puzzled. Pei Yuqing reached out and picked up the little crab on her phone. Crab. End of chapter. Chapter 1273. Lin Yin muttered, "Air." Pei Yuqing wanted this crab's phone pendant? Why couldn't she tell that Pei Yuqing was so childish? Lin Yin raised the crab's pincers and shook them. She chuckled and said, "I hung this because crabs are rich. I use it to attract wealth. You don't need it, right?" Pei Yuqing replied, "If it's not to attract wealth, can I have it?" Lin Yin was speechless. Lin Yin couldn't stand Pei Yuqing's pleading. After being together for so long, it was rare for Pei Yuqing to take the initiative to ask her for a gift. Besides, it seemed like he really wanted it. It was just a cheap pendant. How could she not give it to him? "Sure. Of course. It's not expensive. I bought 2 and used 1 for myself. I gave you another one as a gift, so I still have 2 left. If you like it, I'll get 1 for you tonight," Lin Yin replied. Pei Yuqing replied, "Thank you, madam." Pei Yuqing leaned over and kissed Lin Yin on the lips. Then he got into the car. A few seconds later, Lin Yin stared blankly at the car as it drove away. Wait a minute. What had Pei Yuqing called her? She had felt that something was amiss when Cheng Mo had called her lady boss. Why had Pei Yuqing changed the way he addressed her? He had called her Miss Lin not long ago. At the team, when Lin Yin arrived, the team members were training intensely. On the track, Mo Shuyan, Qi Feng, Yun Xian, Zhou Yu, Zheng Xuran and Xiao Haiqing formed a team. Yun Xian was in the lead, followed by Qi Feng and Mo Shuyan. Zhou Yu and the rest were right behind them. Yun Xian was the first to cross the finish line by 3 seconds. When they reached the finish line, the spectators screamed and cheered. However, Yun Xian's face was pale, and he didn't look happy at all. Yun Xian didn't lose a single match today. He's amazing. However, why does he look as though someone owes him 8 million yuan? Who knew that he would have such a weird temper? I think Yun Xian has a chance of entering the 2nd level of the international competition. You're exaggerating. Even with Lin Yan's skills, she wouldn't dare to guarantee that she would be able to enter the 2nd level of the international competition. Let's not talk about how terrifying those foreign teams are. The first team has also been improving very quickly recently, not to mention the 2 old monster teams that have yet to reveal their strength. After training, Mo Shuyan led Yun Xian to Lin Yan. "Goddess, I'll bring the others to review the results. I'll leave Yun Xian to you. These are his training records for the past month." Lin Yan nodded. "All right. Thank you, Captain Mo. This kid was a newbie with almost no experience when he first came. How long has it been? He has surpassed us 1 by 1. Now, even Qi Feng and I can't beat him." Mo Shuyan said helplessly. Qi Feng also smiled and said, "The new waves of the Yangtze River surpass the old. I'm not old yet, but I'm going to die on the beach." However, there aren't many newcomers who improve as fast as Yun Xian. Lin Yin flipped through the training records that Mo Shuyan had given her. Yun Xian's progress had been recorded clearly. Yun Xian shook his head and said excitedly, "But I know it's not that easy. Many racers spend their entire lives, unable to break through their bottlenecks. They can only stay there forever." Lin Yin understood Yun Xian's concerns. He was afraid that he would be the same. End of chapter. Chapter 1275. An ordinary person would be overjoyed to have such a standard. However, Yun Xian had improved too quickly and was extremely talented. In just a few months, He had achieved what an ordinary racer would have taken years to achieve. With such amazing talent, it was inevitable that he would sink into self-doubt and denial. This kind of negativity was terrifying to a racer. If he didn't receive the right guidance, he might just vanish like this. To an inexperienced racer like Yun Xian, his mentality was more important than his skills. Lin Yan chuckled softly and patted Yun Xian's shoulder. For the rest of his life? My dear disciple, do you have any misunderstandings about yourself? Otherwise, you must have some misunderstandings about me. Get up and follow me to the track. We'll decide the winner in 10 rounds. Lin Yan put on her helmet and gazed at the young man through the helmet. Now I'm going to show you. After some time, Yun Xian snapped back to his senses and hurriedly put on his helmet. Soon, the two cars set off from the finish line. Although Yun Xian was in low spirits, he managed to get into his groove and catch up with Lin Yan. He even took the lead. The two of them maintained the same distance for almost a quarter of the race. Yun Xian maintained a lead over Lin Yan, but he didn't speed up. Lin Yan glanced at Yun Xian on her left. Although Yun Xian was young and inexperienced, he was very stable and rarely made mistakes. Lin Yan maintained the same distance between them as she sped up. When she was almost 1/3 of the race, she sped up. At the turn, Lin Yan overtook Yun Xian and overtook him. Yun Xian didn't even have time to react before Lin Yan overtook him at a position that was almost impossible. Yun Xian stood there in a daze before he snapped back to his senses. He stepped on the accelerator and chased after her. The young man's lifeless eyes rippled with emotion. At the next turn, Yun Xian sped like a madman in an attempt to overtake her. In the end, Lin Yan's defense was flawless. He didn't have a chance to overtake her. He didn't even manage to graze the back of Lin Yan's car. Instead, he almost went off the track because of the inertia. He failed to overtake her at the second turn. He failed at the third turn as well. What was going on? The competition between Lin Yan and Zhou Yu yesterday hadn't been this scary. He had even analyzed Lin Yan's running style. He had been confident that he would be able to overtake her at the last few turns. Cold sweat broke out on Yun Xian's forehead as he stared straight ahead. Almost all of his attention was on the racing car, as if he had become one with it. However, the terrifying thing was that no matter what he did, Lin Yan was like a massive beast blocking his path. She didn't give him any chance to surpass her. Ever since he started racing, he had never felt so hopeless. However, ever since he had started racing, he had never been this crazy. It felt as though all the blood in his body was boiling, and the entire world had vanished before his eyes. All that was left in his world was Lin Yan and the car's silhouette, which made him chase after her relentlessly. End of chapter. Chapter 1276. Yun Xian's body had reached its limit, but he didn't seem tired at all. He continued to chase after the car. After some time, Lin Yan had finally reached the finish line. All he could see was the exhaust fumes from her car. Every time he was about to catch up, Lin Yan would leave him far behind. In the end, he had fallen behind Lin Yan by at least 10 seconds. That was a terrifying number. Yun Xian sat in a daze in the car. His body had stopped, but his soul seemed to be trapped in the race that Lin Yan had dominated. He would never be able to escape. He clutched his chest, his forehead drenched in sweat. His breathing was shallow, and his heart was about to explode. Lin Yan didn't rush him. Instead, she waited for him outside. When Yun Xian came out, his uniform was drenched in sweat, and he could barely stand. In the past, he wouldn't feel tired even if he trained for 3 days and 3 nights. However, after 10 laps and an hour, he felt exhausted. Lin Yan had to support him before he managed to stand up. Lin Yan coughed softly as she watched Yun Xian, who was drenched in sweat. Yun Xian, are you all right? Yun Xian looked as though he was about to cry. He gazed at the girl in front of him in despair and stammered, "Master, I'm sorry. I've disappointed you. I really can't do it." After 10 laps, he hadn't been able to catch up with Lin Yan. Instead, he had fallen behind. Lin Yan raised an eyebrow. "Can't do it? Who said that you can't do it?" Yin Xian stared at Lin Yan as tears rolled down his cheeks. He wiped them away with his hands as he sobbed. But I lost. I was 10 seconds slower than you. I was even slower. He hadn't improved. He wasn't faster. In fact, he was even slower. Lin Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Just because you lost doesn't mean that you're slower. Yin Xian was in a daze. He couldn't comprehend Lin Yan's words. Lin Yan pressed a button silently. Lin Yan said, "Look at your speed." Soon, the display above their heads showed the results of the two people just now. Lin Yan and Yin Xian had completed 10 laps, which took nearly an hour. Lin Yan's fastest lap was 5 minutes and 39 seconds. Yin Xian's fastest lap time was 5 minutes 49 seconds. Yin Xian stared at the results of this training on the screen, almost unable to believe his eyes. 5 minutes and 49 seconds, 5 minutes and 49 seconds. How is this possible? His fastest time was only 5 minutes 52 seconds. Now it had actually sped up by 3 seconds in just an hour. It had been more than a month since he was able to go faster than 0.01 seconds, but in the training just now, he was faster by 3 seconds. What shocked him the most wasn't his result, but Lin Yan. Yesterday, Lin Yan's fastest time had been 5 minutes and 48 seconds, which had shocked everyone. However, today, she had sped up by 9 seconds. This was not a difference of half a second or a second, but a whole 10 seconds. It was like jumping from one dimension to another. Lin Yan waved her hands in front of Yin Xian. What's wrong? Are you so happy that you've finally broken through your bottleneck that you've lost your mind? Who are you? Yin Xian stared at Lin Yan as though he didn't know who she was. End of chapter. Chapter 1277. No one in the entire country, not even the two teams that had been training in secret, could match her results. This was a level that could compete on the international stage. Yin Xian finally realized that he wasn't the one who had slowed down. Lin Yan had been too fast. Lin Yan blinked innocently. Don't tell me you've lost your mind. I'm your master. What did you do to me? Why am I so fast? Yin Xian had too many things he wanted to say, and too many questions he wanted to ask. For a moment, he was stuck, so anxious that he didn't know how to express himself. Lin Yan grinned. I didn't do anything to you. It's because of your physique. Because of my physique? Yin Xian was puzzled. Your ability relies on your opponent, replied Lin Yan. Yin Xian looked confused. Relies on my opponent? Coach, I still don't understand. Lin Yan explained. What I mean is that you become stronger when you meet someone stronger and weaker when you meet someone weaker. Haven't you realized it? The stronger the opponent you meet, the faster you will improve. The reason why you didn't improve in the past month was because you had already surpassed the fastest person in the Aurora team. There was no longer anyone who could match up to you. So you entered a bottleneck. In the training just now, I purposely increased my speed to test whether my idea was correct or not. As it turned out, it was indeed so. And the effect was even better than I had imagined. However, it seemed a little too intense. Yin Xian looked as though he was about to collapse. Lin Yan couldn't help feeling guilty as she recalled Mo Xiyun's advice. Yin Xian felt as though he was in a dream. The girl before him had said that she had purposely increased her speed as an experiment. It was as if this level of acceleration was just a casual lift to her. He even had a feeling that what he had seen was just the tip of the iceberg. Lin Yan's ability might be much more than that. Do you believe in yourself now? You can do it. You're much better than that. You just lack someone to guide you. Lin Yan patted Yin Xian's shoulder encouragingly. Yin Xian stared at the girl before him, speechless. Actually, he still didn't believe in himself. However, he believed in the person before him. Coach, I don't believe in myself, but I believe in you. Yin Xian muttered resolutely. On the other hand, Mo Xiyun was still worried, so he came over to watch Lin Yan train. In the end, this was the scene he saw as soon as he arrived. Yin Xian looked as though he had been ravaged. He was drenched in sweat, and his legs were wobbly. Lin Yan was supporting him, but he couldn't even stand properly. Yun Xian's eyes were even a little red, as if he had just cried. Damn! Goddess, Yu, didn't I ask you to be gentler? Aren't you being a little too intense? Mo Shuyan rushed over anxiously. Lin Yan rubbed her nose. I'm already very gentle. Just as he finished speaking, Yun Xian fainted with a thud and fell to the ground. Mo Shuyan was so shocked that he ran over and helped her up. You! This! Shout! 1. Soft. Lin Yan was speechless. Mo Shuyan asked, What did you do to him? Lin Yan replied, I really didn't do anything to him. It was just a car race. Babies, Happy New Year. I've spent another year with you guys. Let's continue to have fun together in 2021. End of chapter. Chapter 1278. The competition was imminent, and Yun Xian was a seeded player in the team. How could Mo Shuyan not be worried? He quickly sent him to the hospital, while He Lufeng and Qi Feng left with him. He was fine. He had just overexerted himself in a short period of time. Mo Shuyan asked, Overexerted? Qi Feng replied, Collapse? He Lufeng asked, Sister, what did you do to him? Lin Yan scratched her head. It was just ordinary training. Mo Shuyan, Qi Feng, and He Lufeng were speechless meanwhile. At JM Corporation, Pei Yucheng was already in the meeting room when Cheng Mo led Pei Li to the president's office. Pei Li held the phone that Lin Yan had given him and surveyed the room expressionlessly. Then he found a couch and sat down. Young Master Pei Li, do you have any other instructions? After Lin Yan was gone, Pei Li's expression had changed completely. His originally weak and cute face was now filled with coldness. However, perhaps because he was in a good mood, Pei Li didn't look that scary. He merely waved his hand, indicating that silent disaster could leave. Cheng Mo heaved a sigh of relief and left. Cheng Mo, the JM Corporation's special assistant who had always been capable and calm, acted as though he was facing a formidable enemy. Secretary Lin, have all the staff been cleared? Assistant Chung, the top floor has been cleared. Not the top floor. The top 3 floors. 3 floors? All of them? Yes, all of them. No one is allowed to approach the 3rd floor, especially the president's office. Do you understand? Yes. Xing Chun and Ling Yu rushed over. Have the guards been transferred here? Cheng Mo asked immediately. Xing Chun panted and nodded. They're here. They're all F-class. There are also 2 E-class warriors outside. Cheng Mo calmed down when he heard that even E-class warriors had been transferred. All right. Ling Yu shrugged. As far as I know, given the evolved being inside, even an A-class evolved being wouldn't be able to do anything, let alone 2 E-class warriors. Cheng Mo and Xing Chen's faces stiffened. Xing Chen peeked inside and asked, How's the little devil doing now? Cheng Mo said in a low voice, It's all right, it's pretty quiet. According to my observations over the past 2 days, young Master Pei Li's temperament doesn't seem to be what the rumors say. Perhaps we're just overly anxious. Ling Yu said helplessly, I hope so. At the entrance of the building, a man and a woman, 2 E-class evolvers, were guarding it solemnly. During this time, the female evolved human with short hair went in to deliver some fruits and snacks. Pei Li's reaction was normal. 2 hours passed quickly. Xing Chun, Cheng Mo, Ling Yu, and the others were tensed up as they stood guard outside. Cheng Mo glanced at the office and glanced at the time on his phone. He heaved a sigh of relief. Xing Chun took out a lollipop and relaxed a little. He sighed and said, I can get off work in a while. Cheng Mo didn't dare to let his guard down. He asked the female evolved human beside him, Little Ke, how's young Master Pei Li? The female evolved human was the core confidant of the Pei family. Her rank was similar to Xing Chen's. This time, she had been transferred here urgently. It was only after she arrived that she found out that it was the missing young Master Pei Li. It was rumored that young Master Pei Li was extremely dangerous. However, after interacting with him a few times, she realized that the rumored little devil with the highest status and terrifying abilities was actually a very cute little boy. Chapter 1279. After Jilan left, Kuman took care of all the matters on hand. Kuman was a natural evolver with excellent aptitude. She was currently an E-level evolver. Based on her current evolution speed, it was very likely that she would reach D-level before Xingchen. Hence, her status in the Pei family was not low. Kuman replied calmly, "Assistant Chung, don't worry. Everything is normal with young Master Pei. Chung Emo looked at the time. It was time for afternoon tea. He hurriedly got someone to send the refreshments over. Xingchen took it from her and said, "I'll go in this time. We can't always let a girl take the risk." Kuman leaned to the side and snatched the refreshments from Xingchen's hands. She smiled and said, "Xingchen, abilities are not based on gender. Although I'm a girl, I'm an evolved being with the highest level. This kind of thing should naturally be left to me." Xingchen naturally did not want to be looked down upon in front of Lingyu. He said coldly, "Kuman, in terms of evolved beings, you and I are of the same level." Kuman smiled. "I broke through a week ago and evolved to D-level." Upon hearing Kuman's words, Xingchen and Chung Emo looked at her in surprise. That was fast. Moreover, I was the one who went in the previous 2 times. Young Master Pei was very gentle and did not do anything harmful to me. He even nodded to thank me, Kuman said. Xingchen was speechless. "Gentle? Do you have some misunderstanding about young Master Pei? Even if you haven't seen young Master Pei when he goes crazy, you should have heard about it, right? Do you think it's easy to take care of a child this time?" "But I successfully completed the previous 2 times, didn't I?" Kuman clearly did not take Xingchen's words seriously. "Moreover, it's precisely because the mission is important that it should be done by me. Otherwise, if you could do it yourself, why would you transfer me from the headquarters?" "You." Xingchen still wanted to say something, but Lingyu pulled him back. Lingyu stuffed a lollipop into his mouth and stopped him from speaking. She glanced at Kuman and said, "What's the point of saying so much? Let her go if she wants to. After all, she is courting death. How can you stop her?" Upon hearing Lingyu's words, Xingchen immediately stopped talking. Oh, Lingyu was right. He had good intentions, but others might think that he was trying to snatch the credit. Why would he go looking for trouble? Chung Emo didn't refute Kuman. After all, in terms of evolvers, Kuman was the highest. It would be safer for her to go in. From Kuman's words, Pei seemed to accept her and had no intention of attacking her. "Assistant Chung, don't worry and leave it to me. Even if something unexpected happens, I'll be able to handle it," Kuman said. Chung Mo's expression didn't relax at all as he reminded him. "Little Ku, remember my words. Young Master Pei's temperament is unpredictable." Chapter 1280. Xingchen snorted coldly. "She doesn't know what's good for her. Are you worried that I'll steal her credit?" Chung Emo patted him on the shoulder. "Xiaoke's level is high, so it's more suitable for her to go in. Besides, she's a girl, so young Master Pei won't be as aggressive towards her. We'll get off work soon. Don't cause any more trouble." Xingchen fell silent. He crossed his arms and leaned against the wall, waiting for dinner. In the president's office, Pei was still sitting obediently on the couch. The phone that Lin Yan had given him was on the coffee table. The little fellow rested his chin on his hands as he stared at the phone. He missed his mother. He wanted to send his mother a message. He wanted to call his mother first. He wanted to hear his mother's voice. He really wanted to, however. He was worried that he would disturb his mother's work. Pei couldn't. He had to be a sensible and obedient child. Otherwise, his mother would hate him. "Pei, Mommy patted your head and slept with you. Mommy even gave you a phone and a little crab. You should be satisfied." Kuman entered and placed the tea and snacks on the coffee table. Looking at the little fellow's smiling and distressed look, he was completely an adorable little baby. When she had come to the Pei family, she hadn't had the right to enter the headquarters. Hence, she had only heard about young Master Pei. Both of his sons were extremely talented, but his eldest son was terrifyingly powerful. There were even rumors that he was immortal. There were also rumors that he was too powerful, so he couldn't control himself. He would often go berserk, and every time he went berserk, it would be terrifying. However, no one knew why he had disappeared for so long. However, at that moment, Kuman studied the little fellow in front of her. His eyes were as bright as black grapes, and they were filled with radiance. His face was delicate, and his features resembled Pei Yuqing's. His troubled expression looked charmingly naive and adorable. How could such a little angel be rumored to be a terrifying little devil? Given Pei Li's ability, everyone knew that he would most likely be the future heir of the Pei Corporation. It wasn't easy for her to get close to the little prince. How could she give it to Xingchen? If she won the little prince's favor, then President Pei. However, how could she leave an impression on Pei Li if she only gave him snacks? He probably didn't even know who he was. At this moment, Kuman had long forgotten Chungmo's words. After putting down the things, she didn't leave immediately. Kuman straightened her clothes and revealed a gentle and kind expression. She smiled and said, "Young master, I've prepared some refreshments for you. Have a taste and see if you like them. If you don't like it, I'll change it for you right away. Or, is there anything in particular you'd like to eat?" Kuman talked for a long time, but Pei Li was immersed in his own world and did not respond at all. Young master, Kuman called out again, but Pei Li still ignored her. Kuman felt a little defeated, but she still didn't give up. Seeing Pei Li staring at the phone on the coffee table, Kuman felt strange. What's so special about this phone? Seeing the cute little crab hanging on the phone, Kuman couldn't help but laugh. To actually like this kind of thing, he was indeed still a child. End of chapter. Chapter 1281. Kuman glanced at the little crab and found a topic to talk about. Young master, your phone is really nice. This little crab is so cute. As Kuman spoke, she deliberately moved closer and reached out to touch the little crab's phone. Almost at the moment when Kuman's hand touched that little crab, a terrifying pressure came from all directions. The originally quiet room seemed to have been distorted at this moment. Kuman's knuckles, all the way to her arm, made a terrifying sound. Then, her body fell against the wall behind her like a kite with a broken string. The pressure was so terrifying that Kuman's eardrums hurt, and her vision began to blur. In her blurry vision, she could only see the adorable little baby, sitting on the sofa with a gloomy expression on his face. He was surrounded by a terrifying pressure, as though he had crawled out of hell. At the same time, Cheng Mo, Xingchen and Lingyu, who were outside the door, suddenly clutched their chests and spat out a mouthful of blood. The low-level evolver standing guard outside fainted immediately. Cheng Mo spat out a mouthful of blood and glanced at the president's office in a panic. His face was filled with despair. "Oh no, Lingyu, are you alright?" Xingchen hurried over to check on Lingyu. Ahem. I'm fine. Hurry and inform brother Yu." Lingyu wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and tried to stand up. However, the pressure intensified. That natural sense of oppression that came from a higher level almost made their knees bend. The three of them glanced at each other, their eyes filled with fear. This was the first time they had truly felt Pei Li's fear. Just the pressure alone was enough to make them lose the ability to resist. What kind of terrifying evolved ability was that? No wonder the Pei family had placed Pei Li in such a heavily guarded place since he was young. They had even sent all the top experts of the Pei family to guard him. They hadn't allowed him to get close to anyone, not even his biological mother. Although he was the Pei family's secret weapon, he was also a huge ticking time bomb. If the Pei family couldn't control him, they could suffer a backlash at any time. Wasn't Kuman fine when she entered? What happened? Xingchen resisted the pressure with great difficulty. He slowly approached the door of the office and went in to check on the situation. When the three of them finally pushed the door open, they saw Kuman clutching her arm in pain. She was paralyzed in the corner. At this moment, Pei Li was completely like a demon. He picked up the phone on the coffee table and walked towards Kuman step by step. He said word by word, "Who allowed you to touch her?" The sound was so frightening that it made one's bones tremble. When Xingchen heard this, he realized that something was wrong. He glared at Kuman and said, "Kuman, what did you touch?" Kuman's mouth was still bleeding. At this moment, she could not calm down at all. She was so panicked that her whole body was trembling. She could not believe that she, a D-class evolver, could not even resist the coercion of this child. I didn't touch. I didn't touch anything. Kuman was stupefied. She had no idea what she had done. Paley's expression was cold and emotionless. He gently touched the little crab on the phone and took out the disinfectant tissue on the table. He wiped it gently and said softly, "You touched it." Paley thought, "Who allowed you to touch my little crab?" End of this chapter. Chapter 1282. She touched it? What did she touch? Kuman, who was in a state of panic, finally remembered that she seemed to have touched the little crab just now. Wasn't it just a cheap accessory? She had merely touched it a little. How could he have lost control of himself? Chung Mo, who had a rough idea of the situation, was on the verge of breaking down. Xiao Ke, didn't I tell you repeatedly to put it down and leave immediately? Why did you touch something you shouldn't have? I merely touched it, because I thought it was cute. Young master, why are you so angry over this? It's just a cheap accessory. If young master likes it, I can buy countless of them. Kuman couldn't understand why Paley would be so angry. Chung Mo clutched his chest. He couldn't communicate with her at all. How could he predict Paley's thoughts? Of course, he wouldn't know what had angered Paley. No one could know Paley's thoughts. That was why he had told her not to do anything she shouldn't have. This crab, was it because Lin Yin had given it to him? No matter what, Paley was too dangerous for him to go crazy, just because someone had touched it. No wonder President Pei had been so afraid of young Master Pei. Are you King stupid? Why did you touch it for no reason? Are you out of your mind? Xingchen couldn't help but curse. Just as Kuman finished speaking, the pressure in the surroundings increased by several times. Kuman spat out a mouthful of blood and almost fainted. Xingchen and Chung Mo couldn't take it anymore. Right at this moment, an equally powerful pressure suddenly swept over like a sound wave. When the two forces collided, their bones felt as though they were about to shatter. Pei Yuqing had rushed over after his meeting with Ling Yu. Shaoli. Paley glanced at his father emotionlessly. Both father and son's eyes met. Both of them looked as though they had been cast from the same mold. Chung Mo and Xingchen could sense the murderous intent in their eyes. Xingchen swallowed his saliva and retreated slowly. Chung Mo was flustered, as he didn't know how to handle this situation. If the two of them got into a fight, the entire JM Corporation wouldn't be able to withstand it. Just as everyone's faces were filled with despair, someone knocked on the door. The next second, with a creak, the office door was pushed open from the outside. A small gift. It was the same small gift. The moment Lin Yan heard the familiar voice, the two frighteningly powerful forces vanished without a trace. The iciness on Pei Li's face turned into delight, and the aloofness in his eyes was replaced by passion. It was as though Lin Yan was the only person left in the world. Her entire body turned soft and tender. The little fellow scampered over to Lin Yan and called out sweetly, "Sister." Lin Yan had just pushed the door open when she saw a short-haired girl leaning against the wall. Her chest was covered in blood, and she looked like she was on the verge of death. Xingchen, Chung Mo, and Ling Yu weren't any better. The three of them were pale and unsteady. Pei Yuqing, who had always looked gentle, had an unfamiliar expression on his face. However, this coldness disappeared the moment he pushed the door open, as though it was an illusion. End of chapter. Chapter 1283. Ling Yin didn't know what had happened. However, when she sensed danger, she squatted down and hugged Paley protectively. "Xiaoli, what happened?" Paley's face stiffened, and he clenched his fists tightly. When he regained his senses, he regretted it immediately. He was worried that his mother would discover the truth. Lin Yin assumed that Paley was scared out of his wits when he remained silent. She glanced at Pei Yuqing. "What happened? What happened?" Pei Yuqing adjusted his glasses and walked over to take Lin Yan's bag and jacket from her. Then he replied calmly, "Nothing." A few intruders broke in. Lin Yan looked anxious. Were they the ones who wanted to capture Xiaoli? Pei Yuqing nodded. "Yeah, I think so. Don't worry. They have been dealt with." Lin Yan heaved a sigh of relief. No wonder Cheng Mo and the others had been injured. That's great. Pei Li's face was filled with shock as he gazed at Pei Yuqing with a conflicted expression. He hadn't expected Pei Yuqing to hide the truth for him time and time again. Lin Yan hugged him and comforted him. "Xiaoli, don't be afraid. The bad guys have been chased away. Sister and Uncle Pei won't let the bad guys take you away again. Don't worry. How are you? Are you hurt? Are you feeling unwell?" Pei Li listened to his mother's worry and comforting words. All the grievances in his heart surged as she hugged him anxiously. The little fellow rubbed his head against Lin Yan's chest. His eyes were slightly red as he held the little crab on his phone. His voice was hoarse and choked. "Sister, the little crab that sister gave me was touched by the bad guys. It's dirty. This is a gift from sister." Lin Yan watched as the little fellow held the little crab like it was a treasure. He looked as though he had been greatly wronged. Although she felt that the little fellow's focus was a little off. In her eyes, Pei Li was just a 5-year-old kid who didn't know anything. He was innocent, so it was normal for him to say something like that. Lin Yan's heart melted as she comforted him. "Xiaoli, don't be angry. Don't be sad. Sister will wipe it for you. It won't be dirty anymore." Kuman, who was on the verge of death, was speechless. The heavily injured Cheng Mo, the listless Xing Chen, Ling Yu, who could not stand steadily. They were the ones who were injured. "Why did you look so wronged? It was as if you had been bullied by them." Pei Li had changed so quickly that Kuman was dumbfounded. Pei Yuqing's lie had shocked her as well. However, her will to live made her choose to shut up and say nothing. "Ling Yu, Xing Chen, Assistant Cheng, and this lady, how are you? Let's go to the hospital quickly. It's all thanks to you guys today." Lin Yan thanked Ling Yu and the others. Pei Li stuck his head out of Lin Yan's embrace and thanked them softly. "Thank you, big brother. Thank you, sister, for protecting me." Cheng Mo and the rest shuddered at the same time. They even had goosebumps. Kuman didn't even dare to look Pei Li in the eye. She wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and mumbled, I'm fine." Cheng Mo wiped his sweat and cooperated. "No, you're welcome. It's my job." The corner of Xing Chen's mouth twitched. "It's what I should do." All of them were best actors. This was end of chapter. Chapter 1284. Cheng Mo and the others listened to Pei Li's obedient and adorable words of gratitude. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. With such a powerful evolutionary ability and a temperament that was unpredictable, the harmless child in front of him was truly a horrifying existence. Although Pei Li had been very dangerous in the past, he had fortunately been under the Pei family's control. Now the little devil had left the Pei family, so he was extremely dangerous. Besides, he had the organization behind him that made all evolved beings tremble in fear. The undying, indestructible organization. Pei Li was truly unscrupulous now. No one could control him, not even Pei Yuqing. The only person in this world who could affect Pei Li was probably Lin Yan. They couldn't imagine what would have happened if Lin Yan hadn't arrived in time. Cheng Mo's body trembled as he instinctively shuddered in Lin Yan's direction. In the next few days, Zhao Hongling had given Lin Yan a break. Hence, Lin Yan focused on training Yun Xian. When she wasn't around, Pei Yuqing would take care of Xiaoli. This time, no one dared to let their guard down around Pei Li. Cheng Mo held his phone 24/7, ready to seek help from Lin Yan. In the blink of an eye, it was the day of Summit Entertainment's anniversary. Almost everyone knew that Lin Yan was going to be blacklisted. The circle was only so big. Even the slightest sign of trouble would quickly spread to everyone. Besides, Qiao Keshuan had made such a big move this time. She had directly announced that she would blacklist Lin Yan. Anyone who cooperated with Lin Yan would be going against Qiao Keshuan. Qiao Keshuan wasn't scary. What was scary was the power behind her. Lin Yan has really kicked an iron plate this time. How dare she snatch Xiao Keshuan's resources? She's really ignorant and fearless. Didn't I hear that Lin Yan has a close relationship with President Chu? How could she be blacklisted so easily? Please, although President Chu is the boss of Summit Entertainment, Xiao Keshuan's boyfriend is the younger brother of the JM Corporation's president. He represents the JM Corporation. How can they be on the same level? I think Lin Yan is doomed this time. Even President Chu won't be able to protect her. Chu Jiayao, who was chatting and drinking with his business partners, turned as pale as a ghost when he heard the whispers around him. If he had a scandal with the lady boss, he probably wouldn't be able to live. He had been stuck between Pei Yuqing and Pei Yutong, so he didn't dare get involved in this scandal. What if his boss misunderstood something? But if he didn't do anything, when the boss blamed him, he would still die. Hee. Xiao Kexian was dressed in a bright red sequin dress. Accompanied by her manager, she leisurely walked into the banquet hall. The surrounding artistes and guests immediately surrounded them and tried to get close to them. Keshuan, you are so beautiful today. That's right, she's getting more and more beautiful. It must be because of the nourishment of love. Someone teased. By the way, will third young master really attend today? I've never seen this legendary third young master before. I'm sure he's also very handsome. After all, Pei Yutong couldn't be too shabby with his two older brothers' good looks. Seeing that Xiao Keshuan managed to win over such a noble young master, the surrounding female artists were all envious. End of chapter. Lin Yan had been training in seclusion for the past few days and hadn't paid much attention to the outside world. However, Xiao Keshuan had been at odds with her for a long time, so she had expected this day. However, she had never believed the rumors about Pei Yutong and Xiao Keshuan. Was Pei Yutong really going to support Xiao Keshuan? How could Pei Yutong be so bold? Whether Pei Yutong had the guts to do so was secondary. Most importantly, Lin Yan didn't believe that a single man like Pei Yutong would fall in love. When she realized that this matter might affect her earnings, Lin Yan picked up her phone and sent Pei Yutong a message. End of this chapter. Chapter 1286. Misty City amid the setting sun. You there? This car is not going to kindergarten. Yes. Dad, what can I do for you? Misty City amid the setting sun. I have something to ask you. I heard that you're dating Xiao Keshuan. This car is not going to kindergarten. What the hell? Me dating? Xiao Keshuan? What the hell is going on? Lin Yan knew that her guess was right. Misty City amid the setting sun. Since you're not dating, are you going to attend Summit Entertainment's anniversary celebration as her partner? This car is not going to kindergarten. Dad, how do you know? Misty City amid the setting sun. Of course. I'm also an artist of Summit Entertainment. Everyone knows that. Don't change the subject, answer me first. This car is not going to kindergarten. She did me a favor before, and I owe her one. She asked me to accompany her to the anniversary celebration, and I agreed. But something came up at the last minute, so I can't go. I was about to call her to tell her about it when you sent me a message. Misty City amid the setting sun. You're not coming again. This car is not going to kindergarten. Yes. I asked my friend to help me make an appointment with the manager of the Lane racing team. I'm going to talk to him. Lin Yan was rendered speechless by his reply. It was indeed Pei Yutong's style to stand up so casually. Given Pei Yutong's personality, dating would be the same as racing for the rest of his life. Since he had said so, Lin Yan had a rough idea of the truth. Xiao Keshuan must have used racing to get close to Pei Yutong. At the same time, she must have used Pei Yutong's name to intimidate him. Based on Pei Yutong's personality, he didn't care about anything else other than racing. He probably didn't even know that he had been involved in a scandal. Naturally, he didn't know that tonight was a trap. He had been used as a spear, and the target was his father. However, he hadn't expected that Xiao Keshuan would stand him up after such a long time. This car isn't going to kindergarten. Dad, I'm so touched. Why are you suddenly so concerned about me? Misty City amid the setting sun. I'm afraid that you'll still help the person earn money after being sold. Oh right. Why did you suddenly ask out the manager of the lane racing team? This car is not going to kindergarten. Oh, something came up. Dad, I'm in a hurry, so I can't talk to you anymore. Talk to you next time. Sister Yen. Sister Yen? Duo panicked when she realized that Lin Yen was still in the mood to chat. Sister Yen, are you listening to me? Lin Yen nodded. Yes. Didn't you say that if Pei Yutong came to support Xiao Keshuan, I would be blacklisted? Don't worry, Pei Yutong won't be here today. Plenty was taken aback. Huh? How did you know? Lin Yen replied. Because I'm good at fortune telling. Furthermore, his predictions are accurate. Duo was annoyed. Sister Yen, you're joking again. Lin Yen shrugged. Alright, I'll tell you the truth. Actually, Pei Yutong sent me a WeChat message just now. Given my background, no one would dare to blacklist me. Even Pei Yutong has to call me daddy when he sees me. Duo was rendered speechless. She didn't want to talk to Lin Yen anymore. Alright. I'll believe that you're good at fortune telling. Lin Yen was speechless. She would rather believe that she was a fraud than believe that Pei Yutong would call her daddy. End of this chapter. Chapter 1287. Oh yeah. Lin Yan, I have good news for you, Xiao Hongling said. What is it? Lin Yan's eyes lit up. MY Corporation, a brand under the Xia Corporation, wants you to be their spokesperson. They are very sincere and the price is right. They sent you the contract yesterday, Xiao Hongling replied. Lin Yan blinked in confusion. Xia Corporation? Uncle Xia, who had wooed her mother, was the boss of MY Corporation Xiezheng? She had tried to matchmake him with her mother, but he was even more straightforward than she was. She couldn't bring him along. Although they hadn't contacted each other often, Xiezheng had been concerned about her mother. It seemed like he hadn't given up. Duoduo's eyes widened. Wow! It can't be. Their previous spokesperson was the movie queen, Qin Miao. I heard that Xiao Keshuan is contacting them too. Sister Ling, you're amazing. Xiao Hongling chuckled. I'm not amazing. I didn't do anything. Lin Yin has been in the limelight recently, and Xiao Keshuan has been suppressing her. I've been avoiding her, so I didn't ask you to compete with her for MY. This time, my came looking for you. They didn't even need to audition and sign the contract. I was shocked too. Xiao Hongling glanced at Lin Yan. Lin Yan, are you close to someone from the Xia Corporation? She couldn't think of any other reason why the Xia Corporation would choose to work with Lin Yin at such a sensitive time. Although the Xia Corporation was a famous corporation in the country, it wasn't on the same level as JM. There was no need to choose a female celebrity who might offend JM. Duo was reminded of the Kano Corporation's president Ji Mingzhi. She studied Lin Yin cautiously. Could the senior management of the Xia Corporation be one of your rumored boyfriends? Don't spout nonsense. What rumored boyfriend? I only have one legitimate boyfriend. Lin Yin stroked her chin and said, if I'm not wrong, he should be my father. Duo was speechless. What? Duo couldn't understand Lin Yan's thoughts. She had said that Pei Yutong had to address her as daddy, and that the senior management of the Xia Corporation was her father. Isn't your father the chairman of Lin Group, Lin Yuedong? Duo was speechless. Lin Yin grinned. My mother divorced him a long time ago. She won't allow me to have a new father. Lin Yin had her reservations about Xiezheng as well. Perhaps it was because of Lin Yuedong's horrible father. She was worried that Xiezheng, who was surrounded by beautiful women in the business world, wouldn't be able to get his love for her mother. However, what happened this time surprised her. No matter what, they could only be considered unrelated. Yet Xiezheng had risked offending JM Corporation to make her their spokesperson. Lin Yin mulled it over for a moment before she replied, Sister Ling, hold on. I'll call the Xia Corporation and ask them about this. She found a secluded spot and called Xiezheng. Lin Yin replied, Hello, Uncle Xia. Xiezheng said. Hey Yin, why did you suddenly call me? Lin Yin replied. I just suddenly thought of you. How have you been? Chapter 1288. I'm fine. I'm just worried about your mother. I know that you're busy with work, so I didn't dare to disturb you. How is your mother? How is she? Xiezheng couldn't help but ask about He Muyun. She's been fine. It's a pity that she hasn't mentioned you much. Lin Yin tried to sound him out. She wanted to know how Xiezheng felt about her mother. Xiezheng coughed and smiled bitterly. I know. It's fine. I won't disturb her. After being rejected so many times, Xiezheng couldn't help but feel discouraged. He was also afraid that He Muyun would hate him. The more he thought about it, the harder it was for him to get close to her. Lin Yin listened to his desolate tone and felt that there was hope. She raised an eyebrow. Uncle Xia, do you still like my mother? Xiezheng fell silent for a moment before he sighed. I've never stopped. How could I not like her? Then why didn't you pursue her? Asked Lin Yin bluntly. Xiezheng felt awkward. He coughed lightly and said, I can't catch up to him. Lin Yin snorted. Is it that difficult to pursue someone? When I was chasing after my boyfriend, it was quite easy. Xiezheng chuckled softly. Really? Can you share your experience with Uncle Xia? How long did you pursue her? Lin Yin tried to recall. I chased her for about 10 seconds. Xiezheng was speechless. Lin Yin changed the topic. Oh yeah, Uncle Xia. I heard from my manager that your company wants me to endorse MY brand. Do you know about this? Xiezheng replied. Yes, I did. Lin Yin was speechless. Indeed. Lin Yin got straight to the point. Do you know my current situation? I offended the girlfriend of the third young master of JM Corporation, and I'm being blacklisted. If you want me to endorse the brand now, wouldn't you be disrespecting JM Corporation? Xiezheng replied. I can't afford to offend JM Corporation, but I'm not afraid of it either. Besides, I know the president of JM Corporation. He wouldn't make things difficult for the Xia Corporation because of this. Lin Yin asked, just because of this? Xiezheng hesitated for some time before he said, it's also because I really don't know what to do for her. It's not easy for me to do something for her. I just want to help. Although Xiezheng had made it sound easy, Lin Yin knew that this wasn't a small matter. Merchants valued profits, and no one would take such a risk easily. Lin Yin scratched her head and sighed heavily. I'm not good at wooing anyone. It's too easy for me to woo a boyfriend. My experience isn't of much use to you. Otherwise, I would have helped you. Xiezheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He replied, actually, I'm not usually like this. It's just that I don't know what to do when it comes to your mother. Lin Yin pondered for a moment. He had a lot of tricks up his sleeves when it came to wooing girls. Should she ask him for advice? After she ended the call with Xiezheng, Lin Yan's eyes darted to Qiao Keshuan, who was surrounded by the crowd. Qiao Keshuan's phone suddenly rang. Looking at the caller ID, Qiao Keshuan's calm face revealed a trace of joy. However, no one knew what the person on the other end of the phone said. But Qiao Keshuan's expression suddenly changed. In the end, Qiao Keshuan hung up the phone with a dark face. Lin Yan raised an eyebrow. It seemed like Pei Yutong had stood Qiao Keshuan up. Chapter 1289. Keshuan is that third young master? When is he coming? An actress in a white dress, who hadn't noticed Qiao Keshuan's dark expression, asked curiously. In an instant, everyone's gaze fell on Qiao Keshuan. Qiao Keshuan smiled calmly and replied, he has something to attend to. He'll come later. The other actresses nodded in understanding. Lin Yin, who was standing nearby, couldn't help but raise her eyebrows when she heard Qiao Keshuan. Pei Yutong wouldn't lie to her, so it was obvious that Qiao Keshuan was lying. She was probably trying to stall for time to get Pei Yutong over. Sure enough, he soon saw Qiao Keshuan sending a message on her phone. Qiao Keshuan. Yutong, you promised me earlier. Can't you come over to accompany me? Pei Yutong. I can't. Xiao Keshuan. Even if you just want to show your face. Just 10 minutes. Will 10 minutes do? Pei Yutong. I already said that I have something to attend to. Don't you understand Chinese? Xiao Keshuan. Lu Hao will be at the banquet today. Didn't you say that you wanted to meet him? Pei Yutong. I won't be free even if God is here today. Xiao Keshuan was speechless. Xiao Keshuan had tried all sorts of methods, but Pei Yutong had simply said that he wasn't free. He hadn't even replied to her messages or calls. Xiao Keshuan was so furious that she almost lost control of herself. She had already lowered her voice, but Pei Yutong hadn't given her any face at all. He didn't seem to have any tender feelings for her at all. When she had first met Pei Yutong, he had been like this. If it hadn't been for the common topic of racing, she wouldn't have even spoken to him. Fortunately, no other woman could get close to Pei Yutong. She was the only special one. Maybe he really had something important to do tonight, so he couldn't come. Xiao Keshuan could only console herself. Everyone in the industry knew about her relationship with Pei Yutong. Even if Pei Yutong didn't turn up, it wouldn't affect her much. The guests arrived one by one. Zhao Hongling scanned the room and spotted director Gua and the others by the window. The new movie that Gua Changfeng was working on was an S-grade project that Summit Entertainment had allocated the most resources this year. Many people had fought over it, but in the end, Lin Yin had gotten it. Even Xiao Keshuan hadn't been able to beat her. Lin Yin, Director Gua and the others are here. Let's go and greet them, said Zhao Hongling. Lin Yin nodded and followed Zhao Hongling and Duo. The director, Gua Changfeng, and the producer, Qin Xiuping, seemed to be discussing something. The two of them did not look as relaxed and happy as if they were attending a banquet. Instead, they looked serious. The scriptwriter at the side looked a little agitated. He was arguing with the producer, and the atmosphere between the three of them looked a little tense. Director Gua, Producer Qin, Teacher Zhao. Ling Yin walked over to greet him. The three of them looked a little awkward when they saw Lin Yin. Then they greeted her politely. The scriptwriter was delighted to see Lin Yin. Lin Yin, come quickly. I was just talking to Director Gua about you. My movie is tailor-made for you. Thank you, Teacher Zhao. Thank you, Director Gua. I've been reading the script for the past 2 days. I hope I won't let you down, replied Lin Yin humbly. Director Gua sighed heavily. You must have heard some rumors recently. Don't take it to heart. Your role won't change. Chapter 1290. The scriptwriter glanced in Xiao Keshuan's direction, looking displeased. Lin Yin, don't worry. You have to be the female lead of this movie. Otherwise, I would rather not act in this movie than let someone unsuitable take the role. Lin Yin couldn't help but feel touched as she listened to the director and scriptwriter. She knew that they had been under a lot of pressure this time, but they hadn't replaced the actress. Especially Director Gua. The old man was already 60 years old this year, and he personally took care of everything for this movie. The producer looked bitter as he glanced at the director and scriptwriter helplessly. It's easy for the two of you to say that. I'm the one bearing all the pressure now. Director Gua snorted coldly and didn't expose him. If he hadn't argued with scriptwriter Zhao, he would have already backed down and replaced the actress. Zhao Hongling replied gratefully. I know that everyone is under a lot of pressure this time. I'm really grateful for your trust in Lin Yin. She will definitely do her best in this movie. I will follow along with the cast. Director Gua sighed. I've been acting since I was 28 years old. Up until now, I've been acting for more than 30 years. I don't know how many more years I'll be able to continue acting. Perhaps this will be my last movie. I don't want to have any regrets. Lin Yin bowed to Director Gua. Director Gua, I promise you that I will do my best. Okay. Lin Yin and the others were talking when Xiao Keshuan and her manager, Zheng Xijia, walked over. The director and the producer's faces darkened when they saw them. The scriptwriter's face turned cold. He had worked so hard to write this script, so he naturally hoped that the most suitable actress would be cast. However, Xiao Keshuan knew that she wouldn't be able to control the role. Yet she had pressured everyone to take the role. Zhang Xijie glanced at Lin Yan and Zhao Hongling from the corner of her eyes before she turned to Director Gua. Director Gua, have you considered my proposal? Old man Gua's face darkened as he tried to be tactful. Well, Manager Zhang, Keshuan is an outstanding artist. However, the role in our movie might not be suitable for her. She has better choices. His tone was clearly a refusal. Xiao Keshuan's expression changed slightly as she replied. Director Gua, are you saying that my acting isn't as good as Lin Yan's? Old Gua frowned. To be honest, he was indeed inferior. Although Lin Yan had entered the industry much later than Xiao Keshuan, she was very talented and hardworking. She had improved very quickly, and few people in the entertainment industry could compare to her. Seeing this, the producer was afraid that Director Guo would accidentally reveal the truth, so he quickly stepped in to smooth things over before he could say anything. My great beauty Qiao, look at what you're saying. Director Guo is only saying that this role isn't suitable for you. He's not saying that your acting skills aren't good. Isn't Big Beauty Qiao's acting skills obvious to everyone in the entertainment industry? Producer Qin Xiuping chimed in. How about this Beauty Qiao? I have another movie next year that will be produced by a major production company. The cast and resources won't be inferior to this year's movie. The script is tailor-made for you. Beauty Qiao, please do me the honor of being the female lead. The industry had long known about Xiao Keshuan's relationship with the Pei family. Xiao Keshuan was very likely to become the third young mistress of the Pei family. If Old Gua hadn't insisted on Lin Yan being the female lead, he would have replaced her a long time ago. Chapter 1291. However, Xiao Keshuan wasn't satisfied with producer Qin's compromise. Xiao Keshuan's manager, Zhang Xijie, looked solemn as she raised her voice. Producer Qin, do you really not understand or are you pretending? I have made myself very clear. Keshuan wants to be the female lead of this film. Do you think that you can send Keshuan away by creating a production team? What do you take us for? Are you trying to pick up the role that others don't want? Producer Qin had already said that. All the cast and resources were the same, and it was a tailor-made script, but Xiao Keshuan was still not satisfied. It was obvious that she wanted to snatch Lin Yan's role. Producer Qin, Director Gua, and the scriptwriter all fell silent. The three of them were under immense pressure. Finally, Director Gua inhaled deeply and said, I'm really sorry, Miss Qiao. The female lead of this film has already been decided. There's no way to change it. Zhang Xijie did not expect Gua Changfeng's attitude to be so tough. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and snorted. She said in disdain, Director Gua, forgive me for saying something unpleasant. People in the circle address you as Director Gua and Mr. Gua respectfully. But at the end of the day, you're just an employee. If they want to ban you, it's just a matter of one sentence. Keshuan wants to act in your show because she thinks highly of you. I think you'd better not think too highly of yourself. Zhang Xijie's words were too harsh. Lin Yan's eyes turned cold instantly. Gua Changfeng was in his 60s and had been filming his entire life. He was a respected senior in the industry. Although the box office earnings of his films weren't as high as commercial films, he had won many international awards. Lin Yan was also his fan. But now, such a virtuous and respectable senior was being scolded by a little girl like Zhang Xijie, and Xiao Keshuan had no intention of stopping her. Zhao Hongling looked stern. Manager Zhang, Director Gua is a senior. Aren't you going overboard with your words? Zhang Xijie chuckled contemptuously. She wasn't afraid at all. What's wrong? I'm just speaking the truth. Hearing this, Xiao Keshuan furrowed her brows and seemed to have lost her patience. She said straightforwardly, Old Gua, I understand what you and producer Qin are trying to say. Are you trying to say that it's useless for my manager to talk to you? Xiao Kexian paused for a moment before she continued. Since my manager is useless, why don't I get Third Young Master to personally speak to the two of you? Third Young Master had come personally. The moment Xiao Kexian's words fell, Director Gua and producer Qin's faces turned pale, while the scriptwriter's face was filled with anger. If the third young master were to appear personally, then this matter would be huge. How could this be? Isn't this too much? Plenty was so angry that he almost pounced forward to bite him. The coldness on Lin Yan's face dissipated into a faint smile. However, the smile didn't reach her eyes. It was like a bottomless trench. She gently swirled the wine glass in her hand and walked towards Qiao Keshuan. Miss Qiao mentioned earlier that she wanted to talk to third young master personally. Qiao Keshuan glanced at Lin Yan. What's wrong, Miss Lin? Lin Yan grinned. No problem, of course not. Miss Qiao, please do as you say. Why don't you invite third young master over now? Producer Qin was scared out of her wits when she heard Lin Yan. She pulled Lin Yan back. My little princess, don't spout nonsense. Producer Qin hurriedly apologized to Qiao Keshuan. Beauty Qiao, how could we trouble third young master over such a trivial matter? There's no need. There's really no need. Lin Yan raised an eyebrow. Why not? Of course there's a need. I want to see how third young master is going to talk. Producer Qin was speechless. Qiao Keshuan's face darkened when she heard Lin Yan. She had merely said those words to scare them. She hadn't expected Lin Yan to act so unexpectedly. Pei Yutong couldn't come. Of course. Lin Yan knew that Qiao Keshuan wouldn't be able to get Pei Yutong to come over tonight. She whipped out her phone unhurriedly and said softly, Since Miss Qiao isn't going to call him, why don't I call him over? No wonder sister-in-law suddenly called me over. Second brother, save me. Pei Nanchu glanced at him helplessly. Think about how to explain this to big sister-in-law first. Although Lin Yan was usually easy to talk to, when she was really angry, even big brother wouldn't dare say a word. They could still vividly remember how terrifying Lin Yan had been when big brother had disregarded his fever and worked hard. End of this chapter. Chapter 1294. In a corner of the banquet hall, an old shareholder who was close to Chu Jiao patted Chu Jiao's shoulder and said, President Chu, is there really something going on between you and Lin Yan? Offending the Pei family for a woman doesn't seem like your style, President Chu. Chu Jiao's head hurt as he waved his hands frantically. President Zhou, be careful with your words. I have nothing to do with Lin Yan. Don't get me into trouble. Director Zhou looked like he already knew what was going on. He smiled and shook his head. Director Chu, we're already so familiar with each other. Why are you hiding this from me? Chu Jiao was speechless. He really didn't want to get involved in this matter. President Chu, no matter what, I still think that there's something wrong with your handling of this matter. You'd better not offend Qiao Keshuan. Don't forget that old Su has his eyes on you. President Zhou reminded him. Thank you for your reminder, President Zhou. However, I have to remind you not to get involved in this matter. Don't say a word, especially not offend Lin Yan because of Qiao Keshuan. She isn't as simple as you think she is. President Chu, what do you mean? President Zhou couldn't understand why Chu Jiao was so afraid of a mere artist like Lin Yan. I mean it. Chu Jiao had just finished speaking when he caught sight of Pei Nanxiu and Pei Yutong talking at the entrance of the banquet hall. His legs gave way and he almost fell. Oh no, third young master really came. Don't tell me he's here to cause trouble. Today was Summit Entertainment's anniversary celebration. If they were to cause trouble, he would have to resign from the headquarters. Chu Jiao said to Director Zhou, Excuse me. Then he hurried to the door to welcome them. Nanxiu, why are you back so early? Chu Jiao looked at Pei Nanxiu in surprise. He hadn't expected him to be back. I've spoken to the director and applied for 2 days leave, replied Pei Nanxiu. Chu Jiao plastered a smile on his face and greeted Pei Yutong. Oh, third young master. What a rare guest. How did you find the time to visit me today? Pei Yutong wasn't in the mood to talk to Chu Jiayao. He craned his neck to look for someone. At the same time, in the garden behind the banquet hall, Director Guo had injured his leg during filming, so he couldn't stand for long. Lin Yan helped him to a chair in the garden. Lin Yan, I will think of a way. Don't be rash. Guo Changfeng was worried that Lin Yan would be at a disadvantage because she was young and impetuous. Lin Yan grinned. Director Guo, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Besides, I was the one who caused this. I will resolve it. The higher-ups and shareholders of Summit Entertainment had probably heard about the argument between Lin Yan and Xiao Keshuan, so they walked over and sat around a long table. Producer Qin was still trying to smooth things over. Today is the company's anniversary celebration.